Hello, my name's Adrian and I am one of the management team here at the Sixth Form College Colchester, and I'm in charge of admissions, and so I'm going to talk just a little bit about the process of applying to college. Our applications open, they always open on the Friday after our two open evenings. So for this year, that's the 15th of October. And so they'll be open from early in the morning then. And we always ask people to apply online via our website. If you go to our website, on the home page, it'll be here in the announcements box, and maybe even here across the top, there'll be some sort of bar as well. And so it'll be very prominent on that first page. Please come and click on the link. Before you click on the link, it doesn't take ages to fill it in, but you'll need to have some sense of what your grades are likely to be next summer, and also obviously the subjects you want to do. So you can spend some time on the website, have a look at that before you start to fill the form in. In terms of a little bit of context for some things I'm about to say, at the moment, there are just about 3,300 full-time students here at college, and that's pretty much the picture that it was 10 years ago. Though I think in terms of the facilities, the spaces, the building that we've done since then, in other ways the picture's changed an awful lot. We are planning to admit the same number of new students in 22 as we did this year. One of the important things that people need to think about carefully, and it's worth spending a little bit of time on, is the way in which, when you make your application, to some extent, it's guided by the category of admission that you fall into. And I'm going to try and explain the business about these different categories of admissions in this presentation. But it's also, if you go to our website and you go to the admissions section and you look at the admissions policy, there's a lot of very fine detail in there, and that can help you understand maybe which category you or your son or daughter might fall into. Broadly, there are two. If you come to us in that first category, these are people, their applications, we print them off onto blue sheets of paper. These folk are people who are probably in a school that is in partnership with us, that where they live or where they study falls within our kind of within a catchment area, as it were, for us. And so it's quite a complicated series of factors. But people in that first priority, those first categories, they will often receive their offer at interview. So they may well be interviewed, and then those courses are agreed with them, and the full range of courses will be open to them. If they're looking for A-level Italian and they're qualified to take A-level Italian, then A-level Italian will be part of their offer. There are people outside of those categories where they will have their interview, but they won't receive their offer until March, and we might have to be a bit more restricted sometimes in the sort of things that we can offer, in that there may be some subject choices that we're not able to offer. But I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute, and so please do sort of stay with it until the end of the application, and we can give you a little bit of context on that. If you fall into a priority category, as it were, this means, for example, that you go to one of our partner schools, and you can see the names there, or you live in the catchment area of some of those partner schools. And so you can see there, for example, if you live in the catchment area of Colchester Academy or Stanway, you would fall into that first priority category. That first priority also depends upon things like distance. So if you go to year 11 in any secondary school located in the borough of Colchester, then you fall into that first priority. So that brings students maybe from Colchester County High, CRGS, Thirstable, etc. within that first category. Or if you have a permanent residence which is closer to the Colchester borough boundary than any other sixth form that provides A-level, then people would fall into that first category. There are also a number of other schools in the local area who they fall into the first priority sort of categorisation, because they've traditionally, for many years, had strong partnerships with the college, or sent us, a significant number of students each year. So, for example, there are a range of schools on the slide in front of us who would, in the same way, fall into that first category. Let's have a little think now about people who don't fall into those first priority categories. And there are lots of students every year who apply to us from outside of those areas. And so we very much welcome those applications. You know, we spend a lot of time interviewing people who've applied from maybe outside of those categories. I think the difference lies in that there are sometimes specific subject areas where it might not be possible for us to offer those to people who come from outside those first priority categories, and also it takes a little bit longer for us to be able to confirm that you know the offer that's in place. And so people are interviewed, they may be interviewed in November or December or whenever, but we're not able to confirm a place until the following March. I would very much urge people to strongly consider nevertheless making applications. There'll be many people we can help. The figure we estimate this year will be around about 70% of those people who apply to us by the January deadline will receive offers from us, you know, as everyone else did. I would emphasise that January deadline. I think after that January deadline, it will be much more difficult for us in our conversations with people who apply from outside those first categories. But I'm being positive about this, and you know, I mean this. Please do make applications. There'll be many people will be delighted to help. You know, from this cohort. In part of our decision making, when we look at people who are outside of first priority categories, we look at things like distance, but we also look at things like course reasons. What are people looking for? Are the things that they're looking for available to them locally, and so on, is a factor that we need to think about. Okay, I hope that helps. There is a lot more detail. That the college admissions policy is very detailed on this, and I know I've said it a couple of times, but I would very much, if you're at all interested, urge people to make applications. I think anyway, for all students, I think it's good advice to make multiple applications, to talk to everybody you're interested in, to get to know everybody, and that way make an informed choice. But certainly, you know, we very much welcome us being one of those people that you apply to. I hope that helps. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.